evening and welcome to this week's edition of the Pete Mezzetti Show. I'm your host. My guest tonight is John Clark from WCNX Radio. John, welcome. How are you tonight?
Thank you for inviting me to your show.
Well, thanks for coming down. So tell me, who exactly is John Clark and what is WCNX Radio?
WCNX Radio is really it's really our baby that Judy and I had built from 2006 forward.
Okay.
It basically was it came out of a situation where for about 8-9 years there was not a lot of coverage of local sports in Middlesex County.
All right.
And we decided to go online, set up an online station.
Sure.
And we do, in addition to music and stuff like that, at night we do local high school sports.
Okay.
Okay. And we actually looked into it in 2002. And online radio really needed time to grow up.
Mm-hmm.
It was more like hee-haw. So we put it to bed for 4 years, came back to it in the fall of 2006, put it all together, went on the air January 1, 2007, and did our first high school game in January of 2008.
Okay. And I see just by my notes that you're the only Connecticut station that's owned by a female.
Yes, I have, my boss is Judith Clark. She is the president and chief executive officer.
Okay.
And we are the only female-owned and operated station in the state of Connecticut.
Wow. Now, do you guys do, besides high school sports, you guys do other local programming?
The way it is set up, we're on the air with high school sports for 6 months. Basically September, October, November, December, January, February,
Okay.
actually until the end of March.
All right.
We do the state basketball tournament at Mohegan Sun.
All right.
That ends around April 1st.
Okay.
And then from April to the mid-September, we do a lot of community outreach stuff, different programs. We work with South District Fire, do their fire expo with them.
Mm-hmm.
We just came off a fundraiser with Coggins Regional High School
Sure.
for their scholarship fund, so we get involved that way. So it's 6 months on, 6 months off.
All right. And as far as, is your background in radio?
About 30 years ago. I technically lost my radio voice 30 years ago.
Okay.
But I wanted to get back into it, and with the backing of Judy,
Mm-hmm.
we decided to go forward with it. And we have a total of 13 volunteers. We do not have a paid staff.
Okay.
And the guys basically do the play-by-play and the sports analysis and that kind of stuff. As far as me being on the air, I will not. Can't do it.
You're behind the scenes.
My voice took a hike 30 years ago.
You're more behind the scenes.
Yes.
Just to get stuff done.
I'm the field engineer, as they say.
Okay. So you run around and.
I put it on the air.
Gotcha.
But the guys and the crew that we have that works with us now is probably the best crew we've had since we've ever started doing stuff.
Wow.
It's really, I mean, they do their homework. They know what they're talking about. We've been noticed by other media around the state by the way our guys, portray themselves on air.
Mm-hmm. Now, do you guys work with the other media outlets in the state of Connecticut?
When we started doing high school sports in 2008, we only did 8 games the first year,
Okay.
and then it kind of rises up and down depending on playoffs.
All right.
This year we've done between 40 and 50 when you add up football, basketball
Mm-hmm.
playoffs, and the state tournament. It ended up like I said, when we first started,
Right.
it was just really us, and then WELI New Haven was doing
Sure, yeah.
basically New Haven, Fairfield County.
Yeah.
We had CPTV was more wrapped up with Yukon women.
Mm-hmm.
And then all of a sudden it started expanding out. CPTV got involved with high school sports. Channel 3 jumped in with their Friday Night Frenzy.
Yep.
So basically there's over like 4 or 5 players that really support high school sports. There's us, Channel 3, CPTV, WELI,
Mm-hmm.
that I can think of offhand. I think there's like 3
All
or
right.
4. But that's where we are right now.
And you obviously, if you guys are out doing games games, and you guys end up meeting with each other,
We crisscross each other's path all the
I
time.
was going to say you guys are pretty.
It's a good camaraderie.
Yeah.
They need something in the way of equipment, we give it to them, not a problem, because we all got a job to do.
Exactly.
So it's fun. We're having a good time.
Exactly. Now, as far as During the games, you guys are pretty gung ho during the games, calling either it's a basketball game or.
Oh yeah, we have we brought a new guy in last year named Aaron Scheinblum. Aaron is a graduate of Syracuse University. He's got a broadcast journalism degree.
All right.
This guy is Mr. Passion.
Really?
He is very passionate about football, basketball. I mean, he does his homework. He knows what he's talking about. And then we have color commentary guys, Tom Allen from Clinton. We have Lorenzo Marshall from Middletown. We've got Dave Petrozello from Cromwell.
Okay.
We've got a good crew that like to do the color part, but they don't want to do the play-by-play part.
Exactly. The play-by-play's got to be pretty difficult to do.
Yeah,
if you don't know what you're doing.
You got to know what you're doing, and it's one thing to watch a game and know a lot about a team.
Sure.
It's another thing to go and do play-by-play and know what you're talking about, because it's really one-dimensional. You got to sit there and you keep talking for 2 hours. I mean, it's like doing stand-up comedy. You're doing a presentation for 2 hours.
Right.
And it's not easy. I mean, we give a lot of people a chance to come on air and see if they want to do it or not. Some people succeed. Some people, they say, it's not for me. So.
And I'm sure over the years you've given people the opportunity, and they froze.
Yeah, and we've had that too. We had one kid from Bristol came on. We're at Palmer Field, and he looked out the glasses as we're here at Palmer Field, and the ball is going that way. And then he stopped.
No.
And I nudged Tom Allen. I says, I think you ought to tap him to see if he died. Because he's not moving.
Oh, no.
He's not moving. This is not good.
That is not good.
So
That is not good.
So you don't know. I mean.
No, definitely not. And let's talk about collegiate sports for a few minutes as far as what you and I were talking off camera before we were getting ready to come on. I guess there's people that have been scouted that listen to.
It started, and we actually found out more or less by accident in 2010 and 11, and those were years where Cromwell High, for example, was very hot.
Yes.
Making the state basketball tournaments and that kind of stuff. And we found out through one of our guys who knew a lot of scouts around the country that a lot of them were listening to us to see what's out there in the way of high school talent.
Okay.
They're always shopping for different colleges.
Of course.
So and we found that it was an efficient way to find out through internet, online radio, what's out. And then after a certain amount of time, you get toward the end of the season, into the playoffs, these people start showing up. And we did one game between Hyde leadership and Cromwell, and we had 8 different scouts that came in and watched one particular player play basketball, a whole game.
Wow.
And he ended up going to Yale. He got a full scholarship.
Really?
So.
Now, as far as the aspect of, because you said right now it's the middle of April, so you guys are just coming off basketball season.
Right, we're on vacation.
Right, you're on vacation. Right. How were the playoffs?
Playoffs were interesting.
Okay?
In fact, we covered Valley.
Okay, sure.
We covered the Valley game at Mohegan Sun. And for people that are watching this program, Valley is coming on board starting next fall.
Okay, great.
For football and basketball.
Right.
And we're also talking to South Windsor. So we're expanding our broadcast footprint as far as which schools we need. Now, as we do that, you need more announcers.
You need more people.
You need more people. So that's why we're adding people between now and September. We're talking to different people and say, look, we'll give you a chance, give you the opportunity, sit in the chair and see if you can do this.
Right.
Get your feet wet.
Exactly.
And we don't know. We'll take a chance. But we'll pair them up with somebody who's got experience. So if they decide to bomb out on us on air, the other person can come up behind and basically
take the ball and
run with it.
Right. So. Now, do you, besides what schools down in my footprint do you cover?
We cover. I'll give you the whole list. We have Xavier.
Yep.
We got Mercy.
Okay.
We have Vinyl.
All right.
We got Cromwell.
Okay.
Haddam Killingworth, Morgan, in Mal Valley, and possibly South Windsor starting next year.
Wow.
So it's a full plate.
Pretty impressive.
It's a full plate.
Pretty impressive.
We work with the ADs that want to work with us because we say to them, our mission is basically to give these kids some recognition.
Right.
Because if we weren't doing this, And if 3 wasn't doing this and CPTV wasn't doing this, these
kids
kids
wouldn't be getting
These kids would
recognized.
get nothing.
Right.
And we've had coaches come up to us at a game and tell us that they appreciate us being there
Right.
because they know we're not there, they don't get anything.
Right.
And so that's how we get the word out. So it's our way of making sure these kids get something, because without us, they get nothing.
Exactly. It's really important, and I'm assuming you know this as well as I do. It's really important for the high school kids to get the recognition that they wouldn't get if you guys didn't exist.
Right. Like we added Morgan on this year, and the new AD, Kevin Rail.
Yep.
The guy's been absolutely super to work with.
Has he?
He's been, usually we'll meet with them ahead of time, kind of break the ice.
Yeah.
We're us, you're you. And
How can we do this?
How can we set up this? How can we set up to do a game? And they've been very gracious. Say, okay, we can do this. How many tables you need? This is where you're going to be. Here's electricity, and then we take it from there.
Start to finish, how long does it usually last from setup to breakdown? A couple hours?
We go at 5 o'clock.
Yep.
And for a 7 o'clock game, it takes about half an hour to set up.
All right.
Then the guys come in. We go through the notes as far as what they're going to talk about. Go on the air, and we do a pre-show at 10 minutes before the game time, so like 10 of 7.
Yeah.
7 o'clock we go on, game's over about 8:30, half an hour to pack up, we're out by 9.
Not bad.
We got it down to a science,
Yeah, there you go.
as John Taffer would say.
Yeah, there you go. Now, as far as all the years that you guys have been doing this, do you have a favorite memory or favorite story that sticks out in your mind?
Yeah, I got a great one. We had a game with Cromwell and Hyde.
Okay.
And it got down to, the place was packed. In fact, the night of the game, the JV game was first,
All right.
the varsity game was second. And people came in, doors opened at 5, and they closed at 9 minutes after 5. There were 600 people in the gym by 9 after 5. So
Holy
people
cow.
that came later were told to go home. JV squad walks out, they're used to seeing 10 people in the stands. There were 600 people sitting there,
Dear God.
and so we did that game. Then we did the varsity game. End of the game, there was 0.4 seconds left on the clock.
Okay.
Hyde called the timeout. Now Hyde was beating Cromwell all night long.
Right.
Cromwell's ball. Isaiah Salafi throws it to Sean Holly.
Okay.
Sean Holly does a Hail Mary pass with his eyes closed, gets it in for 3 points, and beats Hyde by 1. If I had a camera, Steve Jefferson, the coach from Hyde, it was $1 million shot. It was $1 million shot. He said he could not
Really?
believe he lost this game in less than a half a second.
Oh,
So it was probably the most memorable
wow.
of all the games we've ever done. That was the most memorable.
I was going to say, and we'll talk about that. Right now, we're about to go into the break. Would you mind sticking around for another
Sure.
segment?
I'm
We'll
here.
we'll be right back after a short break.
They say that when you're facing extreme danger, your life flashes before you. If you think that's sad, consider facing it before you even have enough life to flash before your eyes. Car crashes are a leading killer of children 1 to 13. Deaths and injuries can be prevented by using the right car seat. Visit safercar.gov/the-right-seat to know what is appropriate for each age and size.
And welcome back to this week's edition of the Pete Mezzetti Show. I'm sitting here with John Clark from WCNX Radio. John, welcome back.
I'm here.
Good to see you again. Hey, you're here, I'm here. We might as well
Fire away.
do some TV together.
Okay.
All right. Why not? And we were talking about. Let's talk about the station's involvement in the number of community activities to raise funds for.
We actually have one day a week. We actually do a lot of community programming. It's called our Sunday night programming. And it leads off, believe it or not, with the Pete Mezzetti Show at 5 o'clock on Sunday. And then at 5:30, we do a show for the Community Health Center in Middletown. They talk about different various health issues, and they interview people from all around the country.
Okay.
At 6 o'clock, we do a show with a guy we had met actually at the North Haven Fair 2 years ago. Gabe Kausner does a show with the vets called the Veteran. It's it's a veterans program that
Okay,
goes for
sure.
an hour.
All right.
At 7 o'clock, we have a program that is called Nighttime, and it's produced by one of our announcers, lives in Strasburg, Virginia.
Okay.
He worked for the Voice of America, and he also worked for Armed Forces Radio.
Okay.
And then we have a show for 8 o'clock to 9 o'clock, which is done by a guy from Florida, and it's called On the Street Corner with Steve Fox.
Nice.
And that's mostly doo-wop, like
All right.
50 doo-wop.
All right. Now, besides doing radio, I understand you guys also do stuff on TV?
We do TV.
Let's talk about TV too.
We have TV is basically Thursday nights and Saturday nights on the Comcast system in the Middletown area,
Channel 15, I believe.
Channel 15.
There you go.
And then we also do program here on Channel 19.
There we go.
Up our neck of the woods in Middletown, we have the Middlesex Chamber of Commerce.
Mm-hmm.
We do a show called Middlesex Chamber Today. We do a show called The Murdy Terry Show.
Yep.
Okay, and we also do a show called WCNX Magazine, which is basically all your parades and things of community events that people would be interested in. People like to see themselves on TV.
Right.
So we film the parades.
All right.
And then we have some guy named Pete Mezzetti comes on, and he's on Saturday night.
He shows up again?
So we sit in our living room, we watch Pete Mezzetti, and we throw marshmallows at the TV.
Thank you. So, obviously you deal with the, down in this area with VSC TV, correct?
Right, we work with Chris Morgan.
I was going to say, what do you think of Chris Morgan?
And I have dealt with a lot of public access coordinators around the state. He has taken this station basically light years ahead of everybody else,
Oh, yeah.
including the one we have back in Middletown. He is far and beyond other people we've ever worked with. I mean, and that's an honest assessment. He's done a very good job with it.
He has, and he's fair to all his producers and show hosts when they come in.
He's your techie's tech.
Exactly.
Okay? He's a tech guy, okay?
Exactly.
But he knows where he's going, he knows what he's doing, and that helps.
It does, which is always a good thing. So let's talk about a little bit about internet radio.
It's interesting that when it first started, it actually came out in 2002.
Okay.
And it was very staticky. It was hard to listen to. It was like listening to hee-haw. I mean, it was awful. We use Live 365 out of San Jose as our internet carrier. And when we do a game, we've done live broadcasts at car shows and that kind of stuff. We actually send our signal by satellite, which is actually parked right above us, and we send it up to the satellite, and they send it out to San Jose in 5 seconds.
Wow.
So we're about 10 seconds, because it's 5 seconds to the West Coast, 5 seconds back. We're actually about 10 seconds behind real time.
Wow.
When we do a game or a live broadcast, whatever. But we're finding that, and about 3 weeks ago, there was an article in the New York Daily News. Dave Hinckley, who's their senior radio TV writer, referenced a survey that came out that kids between 12, or young kids between 12 and 29, 58% of them don't even listen to AM and FM anymore. Everything is going satellite, internet, Pandora, iPhone, so on and so forth. That's where people get their information. How many kids walk around with an AM radio stuck to their ear, like, when we were growing up as kids? They're not that. We had a chance to buy an AM and FM station early on, and we actually watched Mr. Hinckley talked us out of it. He actually talked us out of it, and he said people aren't doing this no more.
No.
Everything's the way the Dick Tracy wristwatch. And
Exactly.
that was in 2009.
Okay.
So it's basically held true. The listenership has oscillated. Basically, the whole radio industry has oscillated over to internet and satellite.
Now, as far as the future of internet and satellite radio, where do you see it going over the next couple of years?
It's only going up. I gave you an example, like WCNX. We broadcast at 64 kilobytes a second. We are converting to 128 kilobytes a second July 1st.
All right.
It takes us from CD quality to studio quality. And when we do a broadcast, a game, football, basketball, it's like we're sitting in your living room telling you this. I mean, that's how the quality is that good.
That clear.
It's like there's no staticky. It's nice and quiet. It's better than FM. We're telling you the story. We're telling you the game like we're talking to you one-on-one.
Right.
So it's and for us to get from there to July 1st, we have to convert something like 3,000 songs in the process. They all have to be converted from 64 kilobytes over to 128.
Ooh.
I'm doing it myself. It takes a while.
I was going to say, how long
I
is
go
it
through a
gonna
lot of
take?
coffee.
No sleep,
No sleep.
just coffee.
Just put it in there and when an interviewer's needle,
There you go.
know.
Now, how long do you think have you started the process?
I have started it. I'm doing it by letters of the alphabet.
What
so-
letter are you up to?
A.
Ooh,
I got another
no.
25 letters to go.
I was going to say.
So we're doing fine. I mean, we'll get it done. We'll get it done. And what's held us up is because of the playoffs and everything.
Right.
So now I have a clear,
You have a
time
clear
ahead
schedule.
to do it. And
I was going to say, during your off season, what do you do? Just get out there and.
well, like I said, now we'll do car shows. We take time off because if you could do this 7 days a week, 52 weeks a year.
Yeah, that would make you.
But
crazy.
then there's a thing called divorce court, which is on the other end.
Yeah.
So we
The boss, I
basically-
think, would yell at you.
That's why we do 6 months on, 6 months off, so that we have to find ourselves again.
There you go.
Okay, and we go see the kids in Charleston during the summer. This year we may stay around regional and go to different events here in the Northeast. And we kind of mix it up year to year. Last year I took Judy up to Niagara Falls. She got soaking wet. And it was, something she's never been. So we have fun. We go to different places and kind of mix it up a little bit.
Exactly. Now, what makes you guys different than all the other local radio stations out there?
We have commercial sponsors, but we have just enough to pay royalty. We have to pay royalty fees to singers and songwriters. This is how they make their money. We have no problem with that.
Yeah.
We solicit just enough to pay it, so we're at break even. We don't make money, we don't lose money. We have that. We have a lot of jingles.
Yeah.
They're produced by a company called Jams out of Dallas. They make them for WCBS FM in New York and a lot of major networks around the country.
Sure.
They're not cheap, but they're very
I
good.
was going to say that.
Okay? And basically, it's we don't have DJs because people told us we want music, minimal commercials, a lot of jingles, but don't tell me your sob story social life
Right.
on the air. So we just leave the DJs out of it and just play the music.
Exactly.
And we found that format works for us.
And
it does work
works well?
Right, it works well.
Good.
So just
I was actually, we were gonna, let's talk about sports again, like we did in the first segment. Let's just talk about, you said you guys do from September till.
to the end of March.
Till the end of
Right,
March.
to the end of the basketball
Right,
tournament.
and
state
you-
basketball.
so you guys do football and basketball and deal with all the different athletic
Yeah.
directors. They're pretty.
We're pretty tied up.
accommodating.
Basketball more so than football. Because you have a lot more in basketball. We will schedule anywhere between 25 and 28 games, and then you have playoffs.
Right.
In the playoffs, you might do 8 or 9 playoff games, and then you have the number of games at Mohegan Sun.
How are the games at Mohegan Sun? Are they a lot of fun to do, or
Oh, we're having a good time.
Or is it all?
They treat the
Or is it
media-
all business and you got?
No, we have.
You can't worry.
We're probably one of the very few group of people that can say we have a good time working.
All right.
It's a volunteer staff, but we have a great time. We're treated very well. We're fed very well by Mohegan Sun. We have our own little commissary and everything.
Okay.
And basically, it's a good camaraderie. It's the same guys we've seen on the circuit all during basketball season and on football season.
Okay.
So
And obviously, we don't know yet how the football teams are going to look next year, but they're
well, they're going back to one winner per category. No more 2 winners. Where you
All
had
right.
big L, small L's, big S.
Yeah.
That's all gone. They're going back to you have one class L, one class double L. There's going to be one winner per category, and that's it.
And I'm assuming when they did the big L, small S, big
Well,
S,
you had
was that the
2
CIAC?
schools in the double L, so you don't know which one of the 2 is actually the better team.
Right.
And that's what a lot of people were saying. You need one winner in that class, and that's it.
Now, as far as who decided the classes?
That's CIAC.
Okay, that's it.
Right.
Okay.
It's their game. They call the shots.
Exactly. And
We just show up and put them on radio.
right. Just show up, do a couple games, hang out. And do you like doing basketball or football better?
Actually, I like basketball better.
What's that?
It's a fast-paced game. We do a lot more women's games because we're a female-owned station, and at the direction of the president, we do a lot more female games than we do male games.
Exactly.
But it's interesting because it's women's games can be a real cat fight and the fur flies. Okay,
Gotcha.
so it's interesting.
Okay. And one thing we didn't mention before, what we should probably mention now. If people want more information on the station, where should they go?
They can send me an email,
All right.
john.e.clark@wcnxradio.com.
All right.
Or if you're interested, you want to be a sportscaster, you want to try it out and sit in the chair and see if you last 30 seconds or not, we'll give you a shot. Just give us a call.
What do you think? Can I do it?
I don't know. I mean,
We'll
some
see.
guys we didn't think would make it turned out to be okay, and the ones we thought would make it,
Basically,
they died right then and there.
They
I mean,
died.
just,
And I think we talked about they died then and there in the first segment.
yeah. I mean, you don't know. You really don't know till you get on the air what's going to happen.
You could think, oh, it's going to be great, it's going to be great, it's going to be great, sit down, and then
Yeah, and
go
some have
flat.
lasted 2 minutes, some have lasted 30 seconds. I mean, they freeze.
Go
It's
flatline, and that's not a,
Right.
that is,
But you got to, it's a one-dimensional thing. You got to keep talking for 2 hours, like doing stand-up comedy.
exactly, and you got to just keep talking for 2 hours straight. It's like that, and then eventually you don't run out of things you got to say,
Yeah.
because that would not be a good
But
thing.
we got a good reputation. ADs know who we are. They know what we're trying to do.
Okay,
And it's, it works for their kids. We're in.
exactly, that's a good thing.
So that's the deal.
Before we say goodnight, I just want to thank you because you guys do a great service to the community with all your programming.
Would you
with all
believe
your-
this is a retirement gig? This is our retirement gig. How much bingo and bocce ball can you play? That's why we're doing radio.
Right, exactly.
Radio. You can't only play so much bocce ball and bingo.
Exactly.
So we're doing radio.
There you go. But you love what you're doing.
Yeah. Oh, we're having a good time.
Yeah, good.
We're having a great time.
Well, hopefully you'll come down again.
I will come down again.
We'll see you soon.
Sure.
On behalf of John Clark, I'm Peter Mezzetti. Thanks, good night, and we'll see you next week.